遠く離れたって決して夢は終わらない
What's good, guys? Welcome back to Heal on 6, back again with another top player deck profile. Today we had our box tournament, monthly box tournament here at Next Level, and we have our winner here back again, Cardell. Say hello.
Hello.
Cardell. Now, you won one of our very first tournaments on Next Level, one of our major tournaments. It was, you played Red Zorga back then, and now you're back again to play Graves equals Zorga. Well, it's not Graves equals, it's Zorga Masques. Today you're going to be showing us the top deck. You played this out through the whole tournament. It was a 6-round tournament, top play out. Go ahead, like, just show us quickly some of the cute, techs that you did, quick deck profile choices you made.
So we're gonna start with the right line. Pretty simple. So grade 0, your 1, your 2, and your 3. When you ride up, you Soul Blast 1 for Ranker Chain, draw 2 cards, drop an order. If you don't drop an order, you have to drop 2 cards from your hand, which sucks. But it's really good to get that draw engine starting, and you get to have extra cards in your hand to start. If you're going second, this is really good just because you draw when you ride, and then you Soul Blast, you draw 2, so you just got 3 cards in your hand. And if you have an order, you're sitting pretty. Turn 2. It's really good, just mainly because the order you just dumped is already there setting up your Alchemy Magic. You drop an order and you bring the order back to your hand. This really works well with the Mask being the deck now, just mainly because if you happen to drop it, you just pull it back to your hand, or you just drop it and grab the other order that you dropped in your first turn. But the idea is if you open up with your Mask in your hand, you make sure you drop the Mask turn 2, just because you have your grade 3 Mask unit in your hand already. So it's in the place that you want it to be already. Really good card. And grade 3, I chose Blue Zorga, mainly because he's just a counterblasting. He nets you a body back from the drop zone. People were asking me about playing red instead of blue. I decided to play blue mainly for the reason I just said. Also, if you happen to not be able to mask on your first grade 3 turn, you can still Alchemy Magic without the cost for Red Zorga. Red Zorga, you have to Soul Blast to use Alchemy Magic for that turn. So I say keep your resources and go for the Counter Blast instead. Don't use Soul Blast because you're going to want to use that Soul sometimes for the Shadow Cloak buff, which I'll get into after. For Mask units, really interesting card. I want to say this is the big game changer for the deck, obviously, because he's like, you keep riding, you get the 10k when you Persona Ride. You can Persona Ride early on your first grade 2 turn now because of the Mask. And then you do your Alchemy Magic, and then because you Alchemy Magic, you get another plus 10k on top of that, so your columns are insane now. This is what the deck really needed. It always needed extra power, and finally this actually helps you. Also, another little tech option with his skill, not really a tech, but it's his tool, is that you take your original Zorga, remove it from the game, and then you can add an order from the drop zone to your hand. If you don't have an order in your hand, you can grab one, or if you want to use the golden order, you can add another card to your hand, so then you can actually use it successfully. And then also, if you Soul Blast the other Zorga, well, remove from the game, you can grab a unit instead and call it to your field. I don't use that part of the skill often, but I used it today, and it actually really helped from my last game, actually, which you see in the video. It really is helpful. One thing I will say about this unit that some people don't know is you can Alchemy Magic with the same order. It's unrestricted, so you can use the same order and Alchemy Magic. Pretty self-explanatory. Rogue Prison Dragon, when you Alchemy Magic, this unit comes out of the drop zone, gets 10k, and it gets a critical, so it's dealing 2 damages if someone lets it hit. Really threatening card. You kind of force your opponent into a trap every turn where your opponent has to think about taking the Vanguard or blocking the Vanguard, and then these just keep becoming more lethal because of that. So now you block the Vanguard, now you have to decide if you're going to block these 2 afterwards. So it gets really difficult for your opponents to block. 3 Shadow Cloaks, I decided to play 3 instead of 4, mainly because I play the Dragon Tree grade 2 as well, and that helps me search out one particular order in the deck, so I decided to put this to 3 instead of 4. When this card came out, this basically made the deck get faster. It's the only way to play the deck, honestly. If you don't play this card, you cannot play the deck. This literally sets up Alchemy Magic. If you need a certain card in your drop zone, one of the orders, you play this, take any order from your deck, throw it to the drop zone, plain and simple. Its other skill is that if it's on the field and it sees you do Alchemy Magic, you can Soul Blast 1 and you can take one of your units from the field and put it into your hand. again, you'll see that I use this in my final matchup. I use that skill like crazy, which is another main reason why I decided to choose Blue Zorga instead of red, because red forces you to Soul Blast. I'd rather keep the Soul and then have this available for me during the late game and early game. The new unit, Keel Severing. Zorga has a 4th attack now. It's a really good play. I honestly don't feel like it changes the deck like super much, but on certain turns where you have it, obviously just go for it. It basically comes out as soon as your Vanguard with Teasing Zorga swings, it comes out. So you basically attack with a dragon for a high number with a crit, and then you swing with Zorga, and this comes out with a Dragon Tree marker is. And then the idea is your opponent's most likely PGing your Vanguard, and then you're getting a crit and you're gonna give the crit to him, and you have another dragon sitting there with a crit. So they both are dealing 2 damages. So it's the same thing, but with an extra pressure with another attack. As well, Dragon Tree, grade 2, counter blast 1, soul blast 1, grab your Dragon Tree Mask, add to your hand. This is the main reason why I cut the Shadow Cloak down by 1, just so I can net the mask to my hand early, and then I don't have to worry about dropping it with Shadow Cloak. I cut my Rogue Headhunters down to 2 from 4 because I don't think the Mask deck really needs 4 of these in the deck. I think 2 is perfectly fine for where it's at. This card is really just useful when you don't want to pay a Counter Blast during your Alchemagic's turn. So when you play this and you Alchemagic, you pay 1 this Counter Blast. So pretty self-explanatory, and then when you Alchemagic that turn or activate an order at all, it gets 5k. So it becomes a 13k beater or a 13k booster. PGs, self-explanatory. You want to live, you PG. Blitz Order, PG as well. Free PG if your opponent has grade 4. Self-explanatory. Moving on to the orders. This is the order that gives you an additional drive. This works really well on your turn 2 sometimes when your opponent is sitting at like maybe 1 damage and you want to pressure them a little bit, or maybe if they're at 2 because you critted them turn 1, you pop this, and if you activated this already, you're really set up already. You have the mask in your hand because of this. You play this, you drop the mask, boom. You have the mask where you want it to be, you have another order in your drop zone now, and then your Vanguard has Twin Drive, and there's the pressure right there. And you most likely have 2 units. You want to rush with this deck as well. This is from the Festival Collection. This is Cloud of Miasma. Really good card. It's a Counter Blast 1, and you get to call a unit, and then you get Vanguard of passive 5k. This actually goes back to what I was talking about with this, where people don't really know that this card allows you to use the same card for Alchemagic. So I did this in one game where I couldn't Persona Ride. I used these at the same time, and it gives Vanguard an additional skill, and these stack. So 5k to front row, 5k to front row. You just gave your front row 10k without a Persona Ride. So 10k from that, and then 10k from Zorga skill, 20k to front row. And your dragons are coming out and getting 10k as well. Still, solid good card. Counter Blast 1, draw a card, check the top. Like, you get to check the top.
You've been playing that since the last one.
Literally been playing this since Red Zorga, and I can't tell you how many times I look at it and I leave it there, and it's, you know, it's an OT or if it's a crit or a heal. It always has that really good tech option where you really need to draw a card. Okay, cool, and then you get to see what's on top. And if it's a dragon or some other card you don't need, you send it to a drop zone, and it's increasing your chance to get a trigger. Tearful Malice, self-explanatory. Your cost is to retire too, so this is really the big combo like that everyone wants to know back in the day when we didn't know. Retire these 2 down on the field, that was a cost, so they're now in the drop zone, and then you activate Alchemagic. So now that the dragons are in the drop zone, it sees that you activated Alchemagic, so these both come back out. So yes, that's another clarification. Some people still think that's not true, but it is true. The mask, self-explanatory. One thing I will tell people, because sometimes they question me about this, when you activate this, you can Alchemagic with it, and then make sure it's in your hand, Alchemagic with it, and then it goes to your drop zone after.
If you bind it, then...
If you bind it, you cannot do anything anymore with this. So you make sure you activate it from your hand and then bind the other order from your drop zone. And then this is sent to your drop zone. And then, if you want, put it from drop zone into your soul and mask up. This is not the same as activating an order. When it goes from your drop zone to your soul, you're not activating the order. So you can do Alchemagic, and then it can go in your soul. So it's different. It's not, you're not activating the order. Frozen Resentment, Soul Blast 1, call out a unit, but you have to look at the top 3 cards and then choose a card from those 3 and drop it. It used to be that you could choose up to. Bushiro Rada that and said you have to drop a card now, so you have to drop a card, which is fine because I usually do anyway. And you get a free body on your field for activating this, and you thin the deck out, which is really good for Zorga. And last but not least, I think I mentioned this earlier, but Ideal from Far Away. Like I said earlier, this is what lets a grade 1 gain 20k because you now have 4 attacks in the deck. So you give this to a booster, you swing with your rear guard, you get the grade 2 out, which is Kill Severing, which is right over here. Boom. So you say you swing with a dragon, that's like maybe 35k without a booster. And then the card that you targeted over here, or somewhere else on the field, the booster right over here, gets the 5k for this swinging. Then it dies, and then this comes out. Because Zorga swing, that's another 5k, that's 10. You're done with the drive check. You're most likely gonna swing with this now. That's 3 attacks, 15. Then you swing with the card in the front of the booster, another 5k. So you just gain 20k to this booster out of nowhere. And then this line, whatever you played behind that card, whatever you played behind the dragon, there's definitely a crit dragon here. Whatever you played behind there, it's hitting. It's hitting for a high number. You just gain plus 20. Yeah. And the most important thing is that it's costless. It has no cost. All you need to do is have a unit on the field and target that unit. So when there's games, tight games where you don't have any resources, this and cards like this come in really handy. Just mainly because you should have a solo left. The heals, regular 15k heal, and we got the effect heals that we've gotten from Festival Collection. Definitely play these now because all of the new units pretty much have crit pressure. These are 10k shields that gain 15k, so they're effectively 25k shields. I actually had a match where I blocked with 3 of these actually because the unit was hitting a crazy number and I just dropped all these and then just blocked it and then I killed them next turn. So yeah, these are 25ks when your opponent gains a critical by an effect. So if they gain a critical by a trigger, this does not work. So some people ask me why I played 3 and not 4, just mainly because I may have to have a matchup where they don't play a deck that has crits. Yeah. So early, if I have these in my hand early, I drop them really early. I just block with them early.
And a lot of the best decks right now have units that gain crits from effects. So you have this deck with Roaming Brazen Dragon. You have Eva, Gandiva, his own effect. You have Eva still roaming around.
Yep.
So all the best decks still have those cards. So for this deck, it works to play the 3.
And this deck doesn't really have too many issues with the shielding often because of the Shadow Cloak being in the deck, which is, like I said earlier, you sold last one, you can bounce unit back. So sometimes you might open with this or you might just draw into this. Really, really good. You're going to see it in the final matchup too. Like you block with this, goes to your drop zone. If you're alchemagicking, you get your 2 dragons out, and then you probably use a card to call out a unit as well. So I would really, if I don't have anything in my hand to block with, call this out, soul blast 1, bounce this card back to my hand. So this just becomes recyclable. This has been going on since this card came out, so but this is still really good, a really good viable option. Fronts, because you usually attack by Vanguard first. And if you have the new card right here, this comes out in standing position and you want to gain power from the fronts. Same thing. I do not run draws because
decking out.
You're gonna deck out. You're gonna be milling and you're gonna be triple driving. Self-explanatory here. You want the crit pressure because people often want to take your Vanguard because you have 2 crit dragons here. This is all the pressure you need. You want your opponent to PG or say no guard. And then the minute they say no guard, you rip like 2 crits or 3 crits on them. And if you don't, then you 2 crits on the side. So 4 here and 4 here. Yep.
Alright.
Pretty much it.
I know you mainly played against Gandiva. Show us what were some combos you were a Zorga player to play this deck, what would they want to do to maximize their win potential?
So you want to be on the mask, and you can win. It's crazy. You can win on your first grade D turn if you're second. Sometimes even first, but second, you get the Persona ride for free because you had the mask in your drop zone. So this comes out because you Alchemagic, these come out. You played this. You played this. So effectively, you Alchemagic, so you Persona Ride, so plus 10 to front row, plus 10 because you Alchemagic, so you have plus 20 to front row. Then you have this, plus 5 to front row. And then the dragons on their own get plus 10. So they're high. They're 15, 25, 35, they're 40. 40 with a coup. And this is before you even swung. You didn't get any triggers yet. So these are 40Ks on their own. And then you have boosters, which are usually going to be either the grade 1, which is a 10k booster from your ride line, which has become so much more valuable for this deck, just mainly because I don't run that many grade 1s anymore. And then the tried and true Headhunter. Gains 5k when you activate an order, so he's already 13, plus a number that used to be 15, so it used to be like a 28k column, which was really good back then, but now that you have the effect triggers in play a lot, it's not as good. But now you have 40k lineups here in the front, and then these are just boosting them for like 50ks and above. and triple driving, and then having this 5K in the front row. This is definitely one of the winning turns.
Plus the 10 from here.
Plus the 10 from here. So your persona riding, that's 10, and then you activate Aqua Magic, so that's 10. So you're getting plus 20.
Plus another 10.
And then plus that's plus 5. But this is one of the ways that you can win a turn if they don't have enough cards in hand.
Right.
Shield value. But yeah, this is the one that I did definitely in one game that won me the game.
The double 5.
The double 5. So you stack the continuous skill on Zorga twice. So he now gives the front row units in the front plus 10, 5 from each of these. And that's where like the line kind of this Masques card sets the line basically from all the other Zorgas, just mainly because he can use 2 of these, 2 of the same order.
So now you get your board back.
And then these are free boards because, like, say if someone pops it, which has happened when you fight like Gandiva or other control units, they'll most likely get rid of your back rows, and if they have to, they get rid of these, which happens today a lot. They get rid of these because Gandiva pops everything.
But roaming's already coming.
Roaming's already coming. So these are calling out your boosters, and these just come out free. We just built a whole board for just this. And if you're playing Headhunter, you're paying only 1 counterblast for this whole combo. 1 counterblast. And this happens over 50k.
You are one of our main Zorga players. However, there has been a new wave of Zorga players since Zorga Masques. How does that make you feel?
I expected it. Definitely expected it. I'm actually excited to see whether anybody else is going to play in the deck because there's so many orders and there's a lot of different combinations. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm not in the idea with the gatekeeping thing. It's like, oh, this is my deck. It's like, I really want to see what other people are going to think of with this deck because there's so many orders. And every set, there's new orders coming out. So there's a new order that I'm looking at. The one that you activate the order, and then units that have 5k base power, they gain 10 for that turn. It's a new card they revealed. So they gain 10 for the turn. So I have to see if it's a blanket effect, so where if the dragons are not on the field, they still get the 10. But it says it's until the end of the turn. So I'm like, they didn't say that the units have to be there.
We'll see.
So yeah. But yeah, anytime a new order comes out, I'm always looking at it because there's so many combinations you can do with this type of deck. So I'm definitely interested in seeing what other people play in this deck. And the ratios, like how many numbers of the same unit they might play. Yeah, as you can see, this deck, I play like one of almost everything except for the blue order and except for the golden order. So yeah, I feel like you want to maximize your order combinations for Alpha Magic. So do your best to only go for the orders that you find that you use a lot. Put those in multiple. But if you feel like there's other ones that you know they're not, you don't really mess with them too much, but you know they're good, put them at 1. See how you feel with the 1, It helps a lot, trust me.
Cardell, thank you so much. Hopefully we get to see you play more. Hopefully we'll get to see you maybe in one of our NYCS qualifiers. We still have 3 more qualifiers left for the NYCS series going into the finals in September. So hopefully we get to see you then. But you did so well today in our box tournament. All 6 rounds, you played it out perfectly. And hey, you get to show off Zorga again.
Yes.
Yes, your main deck.
Yes, man.
All right, thank you so much. You did so well today, Cardell. And Cardell,
Yes.
what channel are we on?
Heal at 6.
Heal on 6. Let's go. Wow. What's good, guys? It's Heal on 6 back again with another winning deck profile. Same video. Today we have Church. What's good, Church? He was the winner of our 2nd NYCS qualifier at Next Level. And he also won with Zorga. So we had 2 top finishing Zorga decks, 5 full rounds, and then a top 4 play out. Church, you've been a long-time Zorga player as well. Just like Cardell, you guys are both been carrying Zorga this whole time. And today you have your rendition on Zorga. So go ahead, explain to us what the deck is all about and how you took the deck and how you made it your own.
Alright, so first things first, we got the standard Zorga ride line. Starter, Ranker Chain, Black Tier, and Blue Zorga. Counterblast 1, get a rear guard back from the drop zone. It's too good. Having that extra rear guard during your turn before you mask up is always going to be better to me than having the extra consistency with Red Zorga. Alright, if you don't know what this ride chain does already, then you haven't been playing Vanguard for too long. 4, Zorga Masques, our new boss monster. So good. When you Aqua Magic, your Ephemeral gets plus 10k. It also has a secondary ability. I can remove Zorga from the game to either revive a unit or add an order to my hand, as long as it's a normal order. It's still good. Helps out with consistency, helps out getting more power. We have the 4 Prison Dragons. Nothing too much to be said here. When you play an order, they come out either 10k or a crit. But if you use Aqua Magic, they come out with both 10k and crit. This is their main beater throughout the whole entire game. If you don't see this, you're most likely not going to win. You play the new Keel Severing. This is your new Zorga Mask extender. As long as your Vanguard is Zorga Mask and you have a Dragon Tree marker, when you attack with Zorga, you can counterblast one, retire something, and bring this to a rearguard circle that has a Dragon Tree marker on it. Having an extra attack in Zorga, it's too good. We're not a 3-attack deck no more. MVP, 4 Shadow Cloak. When you place on the rearguard circle, you can put any order into the drop zone as long as it already isn't in the drop zone. If there's an order in the drop zone that's already there, you can't add it to your hand. That's why I play my certain line of orders, right? To make sure that I can always use my Shadow Cloaks. And it has a secondary effect when you play an order. You can Soul Blast one to give it plus 5,000 power. But if you Alchemy Magic, you can also take a rear guard on your side of the field and add it back to your hand. I like to do this with defensive plays, adding my perfect guards or my overchecker back to my hand. As you might have seen in the video, just two of these guys. Add more consistency to get your orders back. Counterblast one, get a Dragon Tree marker. It's too good. You know, if you don't have an order, you cannot play the game. So having just a little more consistency and getting your orders back, it's always going to help. I played 3 PGs and the 1 Elementara because Chrono Jet exists, because Masques exists, because Garbage Trick exists. This is just good to have, right? And then we got the Spice. All the orders. I play a total of 11 orders. We're gonna see 2 Masques because a lot of times in the tournament when I went second or I went first, my first damage was a Mask. So having a second Mask just to secure your Spirit Ride and your Spirit Persona Ride is always going to be necessary. We got Resentment because it's good. Mill out the deck. You know, get more pieces into the drop zone, more orders. Whatever you need. If you're missing Roaming Prison Dragon, this can help you get it. If you're missing an order, this can help you get it. You know, and I like to use this with the Shadow Cloak to bring back cards onto my field and then to bounce them back to my hand again. We have Sweet Dreams. Counterblast one, you draw a card, then you look at the top card of your deck and decide if you want to put it on top or bottom. Stacking is good. Sometimes you can stack the over trigger. It didn't happen for me in this tournament, but I had seen a couple of triggers, a lot of heal triggers and a lot of crit triggers with this effect. We want extra drive checks. This is good because Elementara can't stop this because we're gaining an extra drive. We don't have triple drive. So having triple drive and Elementara can't stop you from, or can't be used for free, is really good. Persona Ride. We want to Persona Ride every turn we can. If you're not Persona Riding, it's harder to build power. And the most consistent thing about Zorga is if you Persona Ride every turn, plus its Alpha Magic effect, you get 20k to the front row, helps deplete your opponent's hand really fast. Tearful Malice. Unfortunately for me, I went up against a lot of Gravidia players. Not Gravidia, what's it called? Gandiva, thank you. Gandiva players, right? But this is for the matchup where you're not playing against Gandiva, where your rear guards stay on the board. Being able to retire your Roaming Prison Dragons to get effects, and then bring your Roaming Prison Dragons back to the field.
Yep.
So it's going to be useful. We play the Clouded Miasma, one of the best orders. Revive something, give the front row plus 5k. You know, extra power, we need it. One of my Spice, the Black Magic, because we're using so many orders and we're buying so many cards, and also if we play against Link Choker, just having that extra hand advantage, adding all your defensive pieces to your hand to live, because Zorga does really well in the late game, right? So this lets you draw 2 more cards for Counterblast 4, but for every card in the bind zone, you reduce the Counterblast costs. This is good later in the game. I played this in a couple matches where I played it twice, 2 turns in a row, just to add more hand to my hand, so I can just live out the turns. Then we have another Spice. We got Overcoming the Unnatural Death, right? This is Counterblast 1. It goes directly into the bind zone after you play it, so you can't use it for Alpha Magic for 2 times in a row. And it lets you add 2 orders from your drop zone back to your hand. Doesn't matter what kind of orders they are. And the reason why I play so many orders, we have this Blitz order. Find Drink of Admonishment of 4 Sins. So this effect is, I Soul Blast 1, I draw a card, and then for every order in my bind zone and in my drop zone that has a different name, I get plus 5,000 power. And with that being said, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different orders. I do play 11, 12 orders in total. So if I have all of this in the drop zone, this is a 50k shield. This is another over trigger, effectively.
I see.
Yes. And this lets you add any order. So during the tournament, I would drop these 2 orders into the drop zone, and I would play this order from Alchemy Magic and add these 2 back to my hand. Having a lot of defensive power. Being able to live in Zorga is what you're known for. And those are all the orders I play. We have 12 in total. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have 10 normal orders and 2 blitz orders. And last but not least, the triggers. Of course, we got over trigger plus favor. Over triggers should be banned. Don't ask me. Over triggers are fair and balanced. I always say that every time I see it. Over triggers should be banned. It's too good. 100 million. Your opponent doesn't have a PG.
Every single trigger.
It gives a crit. We effectively get around the 8 crit limit. We have 9 crits in this deck, and this is like the best card. This is a heal, a front, a crit, and an over trigger, and a draw trigger. Yeah, it's too good. We have our 3 front triggers. We need that 20k shield, and also we attack with Zorga first most of the time. So just giving an extra 10k to the front row to your Pro and Prison Dragons is always going to be good. We play 4 of this crit. Unfortunately, only 1 SP. Right, I'm gonna get to the SPs for this later.
Yeah.
We need soul. If you play the deck correctly and you play yourself out of soul, right, then you can get yourself stuck. Having this as an option just to add 1 more soul can save you 1 whole turn, because you need this. Cards like this need a soul. Then I like to play this crit via Vis Temptations, mostly because I have SP, and also because they were the original crits that came with Zorga. You know, same thing with the heals. I don't play the new heals that have the 10k shield.
Yeah, that's one of the main differences I see.
Yeah, I like this heal just because I like the consistency. 15k power. There's not a lot of. Sure, Zorga and what is it, Gandiva, all have natural crits, right? But I still rather have the extra, just the consistency on the shield, just to be able to guard correctly.
And plus you run the blitz order as well.
Yes, and just having access to an extra blitz order, right, that I can add back to my hand is just so good, because this is just an extra card to your hand too as well. This could be anywhere between from a 5k shield to a 50k shield. And that's it.
So, Church, you did so well. You're representing Zorga just like everyone else. You and Cardell have shown us the power of Zorga with the new support. Just like I asked Cardell, how do you feel going forward, given your future matchups? How do you feel Zorga's gonna like level out in the future?
I believe Zorga is such a high roll deck because you do need your dragons, but if in the right hands, the right player can use it, right? Like I said, I've been playing Zorga since day 1. It was the card that I liked the most out of the D series because it reminded me of Grand Blue cards, right? Grand Blue is my main deck. So I think that not a lot of people can play this deck correctly because you have to be thinking ahead, and you have to know your matchups. Gandiva is such a good matchup for us because we get to be defensive and they retire our stuff for us, so that we don't have to think too much about getting our rear guards back into the drop zone with the revival. And that's basically it. Going forward, I think this deck can only get better with the more orders that come out.
Plus the new over triggers.
Oh yes, the new over trigger, the red over trigger, adding the restand ability onto a prison dragon is going to be really good. I'm not sure if I would still play that over Blessed Favor, because Blessed Favor is a heal trigger also.
It has all the triggers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see. Over time, we're going to see all the new support. That deck can only get any better. All right, Church, thank you so much. You performed so well. We hope to see you guys more throughout the tournaments, throughout the whole month. July is here, so that means the big events are starting to come up. We got shop challenges, we got the regionals coming up, and NYCS is continuing. We're gonna do 2 more qualifiers in the final September, and you got qualified. You were our champion in the second qualifier.
It's the Summer of Vanguard.
Yeah, Summer of Vanguard, baby, New York City. And Church, what channel are we on?
What? Oh, this is a heal on 6.
Yes, sir. All right.